to order at 7:46 p.m. on Thursday, the 16th of September. This meeting is being held in accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meeting Act. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by prominently posting such notices throughout the year on the Township Bulletin Board outside the main entrance of this building and on the official Bethlehem Township website, as well as being published in the official Township newspaper within the time frame prescribed. This meeting is also in compliance with New Jersey Assembly Bill A 3850, which was passed in mid-March of 2020, which specifies conditions to be met under the current state of emergency. Would you all please rise for the flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, justice for all. Christine, would you call the roll, please?
Baumgarten,
Here.
Randolph,
Here.
Mr. Keith is excused. Muir,
Here.
Nelson,
Here.
Mr. Benbrook will be arriving later, and Mr. Decker is excused. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine. Resolutions.
Are you going to open it to public for public comment on agenda items?
Well, I absolutely will, Suzanne. I just trying to see if I could gather any of these resolutions together. There are the first three, 2021, 77, 78, 79, the refund for first quarter taxes, block 33, lot 7, and the cancellation of record because the tax sale was paid, and the cancellation of tax. I'd like to make a motion to accept those resolutions. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed or abstained? Okay. Resolution 2021.80, requesting reconsideration of mask mandate for school children.
Excuse me, can you open public for the?
I will, just hang in there, Susan, okay? Can you just let me sort of get started here? All right, this request for a resolution to ask the governor to reconsider the mask mandate was sent in by one of our constituents. I've also received another email demanding that was not in fact the majority will of Bethlehem Township and not to raise this. I would just like to state clearly that this resolution is been written to request that the governor reconsider it. This is not Bethlehem Township trying to countermand any laws or override anything that comes out of Trenton. This is a request to, yes, Suzanne, I promise I'll get you first, okay? So does the committee have any discussion about this?
Why don't we open it up to public comment?
That's an option. If I have a motion to do that, I'm taking that as a motion. I'll second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Oppose or abstain? So I told you to be first. Suzanne, go ahead.
Thank you. Suzanne Wilder, 424 Charlestown Road. This resolution made me extremely upset. The statements in there saying that parents know what's best for their own children, along with the guidance of their healthcare providers. And you keep mentioning in this resolution for their own children.
Excuse me, can I stop you there? I did not write this resolution. None of the words in this resolution are mine.
I'm
You
saying.
said I said.
I didn't say anything. I'm saying the resolution says.
You don't like the way it's written. Okay.
No, it's not that it's the way it's written. It is false information. It's not, masks are not just about the children. And I'll give you a perfect example, okay? My gym teacher is a teacher at Warren Hill School or some Belvedere or whatever, okay? She's vaccinated. She has an autoimmune issue. Her mother is in a memory care unit. My mother is in a facility. She just tested positive because of school, because of parents not enforcing and not requiring a mask mandate. this now impacted me, my mother, my friend. It's not just about the children. The words on here and the fact that it was even contemplated as a representation of this town, I'm beyond livid, honestly. It's not just about the children. And I'm sorry for getting so upset, but it impacts me, these words.
Okay, and I do understand that it's 2021 and we are at an age where everyone is their own island and everyone else can go to hell. This issue will divide America and continue to divide it, and I'm not here even attempting to try to
But then
straighten out that problem.
why did it get even put on the agenda?
Because it's there for discussion, Suzanne. Are we
It
not allowed to
shouldn't.
talk?
Well,
Do we not
who
have a
wrote
First
it?
Amendment?
Then who wrote it up?
I believe it came from Bridgewater, from the mayor in Bridgewater. And I missed somebody else who is on here. I know that knows that. I can go back and look look at who wrote the original proclamation. That was what form that took.
That proclamation came from Branchburg.
Branchburg.
And I
Thank you.
reached out to the mayor in opposition or in support of to remove the mask mandate. And I'm going to simply state this, and I respect everyone's opinion. The viron of the coronavirus, SARS-CoV-2, is 0.1 microns in size. The masks, which our children are forced to wear for 7 hours a day, filters out. It does not, there's just like, they don't filter out this virus. It's simply too small. So to impose our school children to have to wear one of these is absurd. So I reached out to the mayor and a couple community members and council and says we need to stand up against this executive order. And it's Executive Order 251. And it just, we need to take a stance. These children are being subjected to this, which is unnecessary. And that's my opinion. And it's also backed by a lot of science. And you could look at Dr. Lee Merritt backs up that position that the virus is simply too small to be stopped by these masks, cloth masks, surgical masks, it doesn't matter. I mean, these kids are being, they're part of a clinical trial without informed consent. And when I went to the board, I said, these kids are engaged in a clinical trial. They're wearing a medical device. Why aren't parents being aware of the problems that can occur with wearing these for 7 hours a day? And that's just, and I'm a school teacher and I'm subjected to this. These executive orders give us no power whatsoever. They give parents no choice to decide for their children.
And
so I'll go on mute at this point.
I respect everyone's right to voice their opinion. We have a First Amendment, and there are 5 people on this Zoom meeting, or 4, I should say right now, that have sworn to uphold the ability of people to express their opinions. And when the day that changes, we're going to have a day where there's only, or half of us are not going to be too healthy anymore. I believe that this will lead to violence and the total corruption of America if we don't learn to listen and exchange opinions reasonably. My daughter, Bob, has the same allergies that I was fortunate enough to pass down to her. And when she goes to school in the fall and the spring, starts sneezing into her mask, eventually they have to send her home because she can't take it off and she can't breathe through it. The lack of oxygen, there's opinions on both sides. And frankly, I don't know. I had a friend who took medical advice from a politician, and he removed his Scott pack at 3 p.m. on September 11, 2001, while working on the World Trade Center, and he is now dying with COPD, and he's younger than I am. So I do not listen. I do not look to politicians
Township
for
meeting.
health care.
Yeah, can I speak, Mr.
Well,
Mayor?
yes,
Mr.
please,
Mayor,
go
can I
ahead,
speak?
Mr.
Yeah,
Thomas.
what you're saying here is you don't listen to the doctors, but why don't we have did we have Dr. Medora come on board here? Instead, we're listening to opinions about the doctors say to wear masks. So, Mr. Adays, forgive me if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, says that there's plenty of medical evidence. The medical evidence is by far in support of wearing masks for teachers, students, and everyone in the realm. Now, no one's agreeing to this, and here's my big point here. The reason I've never spoken at a committee meeting before, the reason we are sticking our thumbs in the eyes of Bethlehem Township by even putting this on the agenda. Do we put other issues that affect our kids on the township agenda? We rarely do. I've lived here 6 years. We've never done it before. Suddenly we're putting something on the agenda about our kids that is doing nothing more than splitting this community in half, or not in half. Probably there's a good 20% of people that don't think the masks are a good idea. I don't have any problem with them. I have friends that don't believe it. But why do we have it on the agenda? It's not medical. We're not using the science right now. We're going, Dr. Madura believes in masks. He's the Connolly doctor. My doctor believes in masks. In the memo, in the draft that I read this morning, it says it's between parents, their doctors. Most doctors tell parents to have your kids wear the mask. And believe me, I don't want to get the disease. I don't want the kids giving the teachers the disease. I don't want the kids giving the admin the disease. And at the same time, I respect what you just brought up, Walter, which is one of your children has a problem with the mask. Why did we have to put it on this agenda? It's going nowhere. It's going into this void of us putting it on the agenda as a community, making a statement. I don't even know how it got there. I don't understand how it got there, how this resolution got on the agenda. So it's so political to me that it's useless, and I'm sorry that it's there. For anyone on the call that knows me and that I know, I respect your wishes, believe me. I really don't have a problem with anything that you want to do, but I don't want your kid not wearing a mask isn't affecting your kid. Your kid not wearing a mask is going to bring, that kid coughs, that kid is bringing whatever 3 feet or 6 feet of expelling whatever the kid has. So it's been shown from the beginning that masks aren't for the wearer, masks are for the others. So thanks for hearing me out. I appreciate it.
Well, one of the purposes in bringing this forward is so that we could have a discussion and a civilized one, and I appreciate your civility there, Tom, because we are either wild animals, and in which case, if we turn that way, it's going to get real bad, and you're not going to need masks. You're going to need a lot more than masks to straighten out this country if we continue to go down the path. So let us continue to discuss things civilized, as you just did, and as I'm sure Styra will. But Styra, Teresa had her hand up first, so I'm going to give her the floor. Teresa?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good. I agree with Mr. Mayor. I'm not sure why this resolution on school policy is on here. I don't think I've ever seen a resolution on school issues before on the township committee agenda. I mean, we had the school budget slashed dramatically, and I don't remember any resolution asking the governor to reconsider the budget. So it seems kind of out of place to me that we would involve ourselves in the school issues. And if this resolution is going to pass and kind of shows that you guys support individual autonomy, as it said in the resolution, are you going to then open the municipal building and then say that masks are optional? Because I feel like that's where you're headed with that. And for Mr. Ades, I can tell you this virus doesn't travel by itself. That would be something different. It travels in water vapor particles. And I work in science and medicine. I can tell you that cloth masks do block water vapor. It's like it acts as a sneeze guard, and that's what the medical community is hoping.
I'm not on video, poor audio.
Okay, Teresa. It was requested to be put on the agenda, and if a constituent asks for something to be put on the agenda to discuss it, I think it's if the community doesn't believe in that, then I've made a mistake by putting it on the agenda. But to me, talking about things was always a good idea rather than hiding and cowering and not talking about things. It's clearly an issue. It's not so much as a school issue. We're not challenging school policy. This is a policy in Trenton, and we're challenging Trenton. And honestly, I could spend a career challenging Trenton. I do not, and have never had a lot of faith in Trenton's ability to tell Bethlehem Township how we should live when the lifestyle and the way that Trenton lives is completely and totally diametrically opposed to how we are here. Styra, you have the floor. No, you're still on mute, Styra.
Okay,
There you go.
I want to say, of course, I'm fully in agreement. You know, you don't know, but I have a daughter in the healthcare industry. As a matter of fact, she worked for Regeneron. It is she was the medical director of of the laboratory that developed the COVID cocktail that was given, the monoclonal cocktail that was given to Trump. So she knows what she's talking about, believe me. And what Teresa said
They're
is true.
challenging the school mandate and the
Stephanie
mask mandate.
Krupnik, could you,
No, no,
could
no.
you,
Or
could
at
you hit
least
the
they-
mute there, Ms. Krupnik? Could you hit your mute, please?
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
So the point is that masks really do work. She would be the first one to tell you that, because what Teresa said is true. These water vapor. However, there would be a way of unmasking the children, and that is if every adult was vaccinated. We get every adult vaccinated, and there will be no problem. The children can take their masks off. How about it?
Thank you, Styra. Again, we're here to listen to the people. One of the problems that you'll have, there's only 4 of us. Maybe you want to include Chris. There's only 4 of us and Chris who understand that one of the biggest fogs that we work in here is that we do not hear from nearly enough people to understand when issues come up that are of concern to people, how a number of people feel. And Facebook is absolutely not the alternative, because it's too easily manipulated for personal thinking. Come to our township meetings, send us letters, emails, please let us know. We
But
don't
this
just
isn't
do
a
anything.
question of opinion. I think that's the very important thing. It is not.
Well,
you
the opinion, Styra, was do we say something to Trenton or not?
Oh, okay. No, that's different.
We're
But
not making law here. We're saying, do we want to reach out to Trenton or not?
Well,
And
it's
so
just,
far, the vast majority says no.
yeah, well, I'm with that, but not because it's not our right to say something to Trenton, but because this is an issue which is filled with ignorance. It's very sad and scary.
Well, we live in an age of ignorance. There is no truth anymore. The internet destroyed that. Now
Well,
there's only spin.
Well, there's
So,
not.
We
We're-
reached
we're-
out. We reached out. Okay.
I want to put my hand down. How do I do that?
It's down there at the bottom someplace.
Mine is on the top. Well,
Oh.
okay. I've said what I'm going to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Peggy Novitsky, you have your hand up?
Yes, I'll be short and sweet. I am also opposed to this resolution. I think masks are extremely important in the schools, and I believe they do protect. I don't see any reason for this to be on the township agenda tonight. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Rose Hanley, you have the floor. Rose?
Can you hear me? Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, thank you. I want to voice my concern in the same that other people have said, that I don't even understand how this is a resolution that was brought here to be voted on versus perhaps maybe first a topic to be raised for discussion. So that is one thing. And then second, I completely oppose this. I think that it is well known and factual that masks work, and it is about the benefit of the whole populace versus individuals. So I just want to make sure that it is very clear. I am definitely a camp of being opposed to this uninformed resolution.
Thank you, Rose. Thank you. I don't know if it's a secret or not, but I've been in this business for long enough to tell you for certain that nobody listens to resolutions. They're just, I don't think that they make it past the circular file once they're opened by whoever they go to. It's just a statement that probably doesn't get heard, more of a feel-good thing than anything else. But certainly in this case, it has given this committee certainly the feeling of enough people in this town to where I think it's easy to make a decision. Is there anyone else? Peter Milza, your hand is up. You have the floor. Peter? Mills? You have to unmute yourself, Peter. Okay, until you get that squared away, Tom Coven or Barbara?
Barbara here, and yes, I think masks are important, and I agree with Mr. McKeon that this is not a topic. It's a very divisive topic, and it is not for the Township Committee agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. Peter Milza, do you have? Oh, gone. All right, do I have any other public comment? Seeing none, I'd like to make a motion. Oh, wait a second. Somebody coming in, Lou? Don't see any other hands
Well,
up.
Peter Milza is coming back in. I think he
That's what I
wants
was
to
wondering.
comment.
Yes, let's give him a shot, see if he can get.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, there you
Hear
go.
you now.
Good job.
Yeah,
Go ahead, you have the
apologize
floor.
Apologize for my technical difficulties. I wanted to just chime in and say that I am in complete agreement with the sentiment that's been expressed seemingly overwhelmingly in this meeting so far, that this resolution should not pass and really has no business on this agenda. And I further want to say that regardless of who listens to agendas, listens to resolutions or hears resolutions, it's not a sentiment that people who believe in science and know the overwhelming evidence behind mask wearing and other measures to put this pandemic to rest would want to be associated with. And I, as a community, would not want us to be associated with this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for voicing your opinion. Appreciate it. Anybody else in the public have a comment? If not, I'd make a motion to close public comment. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed or abstain? All right, committee. You've heard certainly the majority of the people that came here to express their opinion. Want to move this to a vote? Do you have anything else to add to it, or just make a vote on this?
I'll make one comment that is a common thread. The First Amendment is made up of several parts, and one of those parts is the citizenry having the ability to address the governing body, whether it's the local level, the federal level, or whatever level it may be. So while this may have been inappropriate or appropriate, depending on your perspective on the topic itself, over the course of time, the idea that people can bring issues before the governing body and be heard so that we get an understanding whether it's for or against this or any of the other topics. I mean, a lot of topics will trail in and out of affecting our school system, our way of life, the rural versus urban environments, because those are the two extremes that we have in the state. So as far as topics go, if we got this wrong as far as putting on an agenda, so be it. That is a choice or a position that all of you are entitled to have. But I'm more grateful for the fact that you're entitled to, not entitled, you have the right to put your positions up there and be heard. And I appreciate Walt being respectful and everybody here being respectful of each other. But I would never want to start filtering the citizenry's ability to find out either where we're coming from or what we think, or just to put this out there. Is it better addressed at the Board of Education level because it's directly related to the schools? Probably, certainly. We could probably all say, yeah, this is a Board of Ed direct issue. However, I just don't ever want the public to think that we're going to arbitrarily drop topics. I mean, there is a process to get something on the agenda or not on the agenda, but I just want all of you to know that it's still a gift, more unique here than anywhere else, to have that First Amendment in its multiple components. So I would say right now at that point, I just want to be clear on that thing, that I don't want to get in the business of telling you you can't speak here or address something and deny that First Amendment right. I put a lot on the line so that everybody would have that ability going through life, and hopefully the torch has been passed for more people to carry that that standard, that we all have this gift.
Thank you, Art.
I mean, do we want to kick this over to the school board? I mean, is it best served there?
I don't think the people of this township want this to ever be raised. I think that it's pretty clear, the feelings, the folks, it's like, why?
You know, I think this is, as Walt shared, you know, a Trenton issue. So when it goes over to the school board, they're being mandated by the resolution from the state. So my suggestion has always been to go to your legislatures, and our legislatures represent, you know, Hunterdon County. As Walt pointed out, we're a relatively rural county, and so it's up to them to then go share what the viewpoints are for us in the legislature, because that's where it's going to have to change. I mean, you know, whether we do this resolution here or not, it gives them maybe a little bit more firepower, but it's really up to the assembly. So if you feel strongly about that, I suggest that you reach out to Assemblyman Peterson, DeMayo, and Senator Doherty and ask them for assistance and see where their offices are working on this. Because the school board, I've talked to the school board about this, and you know, they're following a mandate. They don't have a choice.
Right.
So, you know, this is for me, this is a tough one, because I very, very much believe in personal freedom. But I also believe in masks. If you see me, I'm wearing a mask in a store. You know, I teach CCD, and I wear a mask, and I make the students who are with me wear a mask. But that's my choice. I want it to be my choice. So that's the tough part. And we can't trust that people are making the best choice all the time. So you know, I'd suggest that either we take this, you know, vote to remove from the agenda, and suggest that we, you know, residents who are interested in pushing forward go through the legislatures and reach out to us if we want to help them or not. But we try to legislate what we can on a local level. So it's not that we haven't passed resolutions in the past making statements in support or against various things, but typically we try to stick to what we can actually legislate here on our agenda.
Mm-hmm.
So it may not be worth taking that vote.
You want to make that motion to remove this from the agenda? And
sure, I'll make a motion that we remove resolution 2021.80 from the agenda.
let it die. I will second that motion. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Oppose or abstain?
I'm gonna oppose.
I've had a lot of difficulties with how our government has handled this. The biggest one was that they allowed cross traffic from our county, which has a huge open space and very a not dense population. You could travel into New York City every day, or Patterson or Irvington, or any place where there was a hot spot, and you can come back here at night. That never seemed very wise to me. If you're going to shut things down, you should, you know, but they don't even ask our opinions when they make these decisions. And I do not believe, and I think it's time for me to get out of this state, because this is a rural area, at least it was to my mind. And I don't believe Trenton cares about that at all in the slightest. And I don't feel that even our county government can help us to maintain that. I believe that the plans are to turn this into something else that I'm not going to want. So my choice to get out. All right. Resolution. I'd like to make a motion to pass resolution 2021-81, application for off-premises merchandise raffle for the soccer event. Do I have a second?
Second.
For November 5th. It's the Soccer Academy of New Jersey. And all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstain? None. The bill list. The bill list is a total of $2,388,635.40. Almost $2 million of that is for the Board of Ed, our local, and the North Voorhees District. We have a little bit over $1 million left in the general fund. And at the size of that number, I'd just like to remind everyone that I don't know if anyone knows how much taxes they pay to the municipal government of Bethlehem Township, but I pay $800 a year. I think I get more than enough services for $800. If you do the numbers, you're going to find out that most of the money does not come to our municipal government, even though we're the patsy that has to collect it all and looks like we're the rich bankroll here. We are not. We only get 13 cents on a dollar. So most of it goes to the school, and I'm not saying that's not a good thing, but people who do not have a good time paying their taxes or are feeling bad about paying too much should really take that complaint to some other board, just like we were saying, take it to the board that can control that, because we cannot. And I am fully behind the Board of Ed in this town and every town, but that's the venue and not us. So I'd like to have a roll call vote on paying the bills, please, Christine.
Okay, Mr. Keefe is excused. Muir,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Randolph,
Yes.
Baumgarten.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you. Let me find something real quickly here. The report of the municipal engineer. September 8th, there was a meeting with Carl Roth to evaluate multiple sites after the tropical storm Ida. September 13th, there was a site meeting at Stats Road that I attended as well, and we worked out drainage changes that the railroad engineers are planning on doing. They're working with us quite well. The Iron Bridge Road section 1 or 2, the DPW has graded the roadside berms and will be starting the drainage installation on 9/17/21. Section 2 plans have been approved by DOT for public bidding. For Son Road, the design plans are 90% complete and will be submitted to NJDOT for review and approval. Construction is anticipated in 2022. The 2022 NJDOT local aid app, the announcements are typically done in November, so we haven't heard that yet. Active and prospective board applications is a Morgan variance on 124 Roundsville Road. The variance application has been received for construction of a 2-story detached garage. The application is scheduled for the October Land Use Board meeting. The speed studies, the Go 100 has completed the data for Thomas Road and Tunnel Road speed studies. Recommendations will be prepared. County Culvert B24 replacement, Charlestown Road. The county is scheduled the culvert B24 replacement for the fall, the 2020 of this year, I should say. 2021 recreational improvement grant. As of the September 16th, no awards have been posted. Tropical storm Ida, Brunswick Pike had portions of the road by the culvert failed. The county has been advised. Guide rail and areas adjacent to the county culvert B21 were damaged and reported to the county. 2 small sinkholes were formed in the southwest portion of the park. The DPW and the engineer found them and excavated them and capped them with concrete today. The pipe crossing under the Norfolk Southern Rail failed, is being replaced by the railroad. We coordinated the township drainage structures with Norfolk, that was already mentioned. Creveling Road, portions of the drainage easement between Creveling Road and Johnson Road were evaluated for maintenance and repairs. On Iron Bridge Road, that we met with the property owners at 959 Iron Bridge Road with the supervisor, the DPW, and we evaluated the washout of the driveway. They're engaging their engineer, and we are working with them to make that road a lot better. The tropical storm Ida damage is being compiled by myself, by the CFO, by Carl, and by the engineer. Where are we here? So that we can file with FEMA for reimbursement. There's an October 5th deadline.
Mr. Baumgarten, can I just ask, are we, because I know some residents, and I know you were working on this, and so that we have it reimbursed, are we considering getting dumpsters?
Yeah, and I was thinking about saying, let's just get into that right now. So yeah, why don't we do that, Mr. Mayor? Thank you.
Sure.
You've gotten a call, Carl got a call the day after the storm, and they asked, hey, well, do you think I should get a dumpster up, a 30-yard or whatnot? And I said, interesting idea. I don't know how many people require it. How do we keep from turning this into another township cleanup day? How do we tell what is what not? So how do we really oversee this? So I said, let me get back to let me talk to the county. And I had a mayor's meeting, and they told me last Friday that the FEMA will pay for all the dumpsters we want. So, I don't know whether we'll have to front the money. I don't know how long it's going to take to get it, but if that's the case, then why not have a full cleanup day? Ida only, you know what I mean? They did say that there would be some oversight. I don't know if that's going to be true or not, whether they can do that in every town. Have you heard about that, Paul?
You know, I don't know what their oversight would be, but I would say we can do a fall cleanup day, record the hours of DPW employees as part of the cleanup, and they can, you know, they would be the oversight, if you will, because they'll be in the yard there making sure that people aren't. So I think it would be legitimate on our part to host a tropical storm fall cleanup. We could, reference it as. I do believe it's a reimbursement, unfortunately, but I think, as you've shared, we should be okay. And I think it takes probably 2 months or longer to get reimbursed from FEMA in the past. But we have seen the reimbursements and haven't had any issues in the past in getting those. So I think it would be a nice service to provide without our cost.
We want to just set it up as a full cleanup day, Ida related, something like that. And what we've done, I believe, I haven't been that involved with them, but Carl sets up, bring us, 17 dump trucks and a bunch of 30-yarders. Just do the same thing, or
I think you can do the same. I would probably scale it a little smaller, but I also don't. You have to check with our CFO. I don't think you need to go to bid because this is under an emergency. You're doing it as a tropical storm cleanup, so you could probably use the previous contractor. I'm just if you want to speed the process up, because you definitely want to do it before that October 5th deadline, so you can have those numbers recorded.
Okay.
What kind of time frame do we want so that it's appropriate for the storm damage? Because certain stuff, we don't want people, if we're going to do this, we don't want them waiting until mid-October, and that stuff is just sitting around for a full month. So do we have an idea, or can we get an idea of how quickly? And then this is something that we would put on the website and get the word out. Only because if somebody's got the storm damages, as I would see it, the stuff in basements, their property, how long do we want it before it's an eyesore and it's creating its own hazard, being debris?
Yeah, it's a good point, because if stuff is wet, damp, it's probably starting to get moldy.
I think, I would just suggest you reach out to the contractor, the garbage contractor, because I'm sure that they're overstretched already, and see how quickly and how many containers they can respond with, and playing off of that. I agree, see how quickly you can do it, but it's going to be under the parameters of who can provide the service.
I'll take care of that tomorrow. Let me see. One of the issues, and there were a lot of problems with trying to sort through this. And I said to the county commissioners last Friday was, we set up FEMA reporting site to where people would go on our website, the only official website for the township, and they could file with FEMA for damages. But I said, I'm not getting any feedback from that. They did not share any, I don't know if there's 3 people in town or 1 or 20 or 1,000. I have no idea, because I said, I need that feedback to know how great an effort we need to respond to. I've had 1 call to Carl, and I don't know if you've had a couple too. Coming from growing up in Middlesex County, we were clearly more adept at doing this, because it happened all the time. And our town or borough, South Plainfield, even had a municipal dump, so it wasn't any big deal. But out here, I don't know. With us, I know we have a lot of people in the low ground, but we have a lot of people in the high ground as well. So that it took us a while just to get this sorted out. Okay, there was no delay on purpose. I will get on that tomorrow, and I will report back to the committee. Okay. Thank you. Report of public safety officials.
Mr. Van Barton, just one last question on Tom's report. I haven't seen it on his report in a long time, so maybe this is no longer valid, but whatever was going on with that cell tower or the emergency tower over at the park.
We were just,
We're-
Art and I were talking about that today. It's
One of-
typical.
What I was gonna say, well, one of the hangups has been a lack of funding. So the whole process stalled on any direction, up or down location, because the county, the people in charge of that aspect don't have the funds available or lined up yet. I don't know if they have to wait for grants or if it's other mechanisms that are in the way, Judy. So that's why it's a dead issue right now until money becomes available to start moving forward and make those decisions.
I've found that certainly at the county levels in Trenton or even national levels, I'm guessing, I don't see too much of that, but the progress is just staggeringly slow. And anyone who's spent time for working for profit-making companies that can turn over 6 months into something unbelievable how much you accomplished. The government is not, it just doesn't function like that. And sometimes these things just go away and then all of a sudden they're resurrected because somebody says, hey, I want to do this or whatnot. I have not followed up, but I haven't heard anything. And the last I left was get back to us when you want to know, when you've got something going on. As far as I can tell, like Art said, the funding's gone, so the project's dead. But if anything changes, we'd definitely bring it to the committee.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. A report of the public safety official. I do not see public safety official on. Old business, new business. There's no old business. So introduction of ordinance 470, 2021, animal raising ordinance. I'd like to make a motion to introduce it. Do I have a second?
Second.
We need any discussion at this point? We certainly don't need a public hearing, but the public hearing is scheduled for November 18th.
So I was maybe a little confused earlier this week when Mr. Benbrook sent out something called a clean copy of the ordinance along with the guidelines from, I guess it's the Rutgers Cooperative. I don't have it in front of me right at the moment, which changes what was sent to us from the planning board, which basically opens everything up. You know, you can have whatever you want on any size property is basically how the planning board went with it. What exactly are we introducing? We're introducing the one that the planning board sent or the one that Benbrook sent, which had some substitutions in it? I'm confused on that. So if you could clarify, I would appreciate it.
I have not been involved in that at all. Art, bet Mr. Benbrook will be here at some point in time. We can put that off until then if you'd like, but
Yeah.
I can't answer that question. The planning board took it and made their suggestions, and we talked to him. I talked to him this morning, whether he had looked at this and commented, and he said that he had, but I didn't have an opportunity to go into depth with what that meant. So when he gets here, let's ask him. You want to table that?
Yes, thank you.
No problem at all. Discussion on open. I'd like to make a motion to open discussion, the issue of a sidewalk library at Heritage Park. Do I have a second?
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstained or opposed? Everybody familiar with this? One of our 5th and 6th grade language arts teacher, Sarah Lamparello, has requested that we not allow, I guess maybe, asked if she could put a book exchange kiosk at Heritage Park. Mr. Keith had wondered if that would be a security problem and thought that maybe the town hall would be a better location. But then he had a further discussion with Miss Lamparella, and he said, nope, what she wants is fine with me. I listened to her explanation. And it's read a book, you take a book out, you read it, you put another book in, and I don't see why it's wouldn't be a good addition to the park. Any other discussion?
I've talked to a couple of residents about this idea. I think this is sort of a coincidence that the teacher sent it after I also talked to a couple people about it as well. Other towns do this. I don't really see where it's a security risk. I used to work in Milburn. Milburn had about 2 or 3 of them throughout the town. I think the only issue that we have to be cognizant of is the books that people are like, people don't just dump their books. You know, you don't want a tub of books lying next to it. And then also, you know, people don't, you know, they want to get rid of their college textbooks or something like that. Like we just need to make sure that they're readable books, fiction and nonfiction. That's all.
Give it a test, see how it works out.
Yep.
Everybody good with that?
Yep.
Yes.
All right, so I'll make a motion to notify Ms. Lamparello that we're on board, and if there's anything we can do, we'd be glad to help. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
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 Motion to close. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Discussion on the approval of the PAIC renewal membership agreement. Mr. Muir, I sent you an email and I didn't
Yes.
sign it. I said, let's wait and talk about it. That's the Public Alliance Insurance Group, the MEL that we belong to. I attend all their meetings. They're pretty good. They're pretty informative. Get to listen to their attorneys. You realize that there's a different world out there, and they're very. I like the idea. It was new to me when I first got involved with it, but I think it's a great idea. It's affordable insurance. They're good people. They know us, and they seem to care. So we want to stick with it. Everybody have any questions about that? You could probably, Jody, are you familiar?
Yes. Yeah, I am.
All right. If
I'm good.
any discussion on it? If there is no discussion, I'd like to make a motion to authorize the mayor to sign the agreement for next 3 years.
I'll second that.
Well, we need a roll call on this because it involves money or expenditures.
No, it's joining. It's just joining the group.
Okay.
No, you know what we do? We got it down here. Sorry about that, Art. Christine?
And Mr. Keith is excused. Muir,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Randolph,
Yes.
Baumgarten.
Yes. Thank
Okay.
you very much. Take care of that tomorrow. The report of the township attorney can be handled when Mr. Benbrook shows. The report of the zoning officer. Oh, yeah, I'll let Mr. Benbrook. He did include a copy of his brief that was filed on the Manini case. So he'd be best to discuss that. But that was done. Zoning report. Accessory structures and generators, above ground pools, rooftop solars, additions to structures. Paper report. The report of the tax department is a paper report. Our collections are in line with what they've been. We haven't really seen any real dip that a lot of us were concerned about back in the spring of 2020. The report of the technical support coordinator, I have nothing to report. The roads coordinator, Mr. Randolph, I believe you took that
Right.
report.
I'm covering for Steve, so I have just some bullet points. I'm sure most everybody's aware of the hard work that the DPW did, working with the county and the state as the storm ripped through. So they worked hard on that. There was a lot of blowing off of debris, a lot of moving stuff back and forth, getting out of the way, clearing roadways, clearing jams under bridges and around the low spots where water fills over top when the streams break their berms. There's some cracks in the roads that had to be filled. Basic maintenance. They're doing the mowing with all this rain. They're definitely putting the lawnmowers to some hard use. They're doing some blacktop on several roads. We'll have a better handle on the outcome of these projects because some of them are winding down. Tarring and chipping is going to begin. Tongue Road, Bellwood Park, Turkey Hill, and Stats. So be aware of that when you're driving around. You start seeing the guys setting up. That takes a little while for the stones to adhere to the road. They're doing some catch basin work on Iron Bridge, clearing up some of the banks along Iron Bridge. That project is well underway and almost, actually, I think it's getting close to conclusion, which is good. Frees the guys up for the other projects before the winter heads in. The basic equipment and repairs, I do see the various bills, and the guys seem to be doing pretty good on taking care of the equipment in the first place and keeping the problems small. So overall, DPW guys are doing a great job with all the curveballs that have been thrown at them these past couple of months and weeks. That's all I got.
Thank you very much, Mr. Randolph. The report of the Joint Professional Service Coordinator. We do have the Glenn Gardner Court agreement that we'll be discussing in executive session tonight. And I understand that the Lebanon court is that needs to be rewritten. That'll be expiring. So I'll be dealing with that for Donna and Chris next week. There's nothing to report from the Highlands Highlands coordinator. There were nothing as a safety coordinator or finance. Land use, Mr. Randolph, do you have anything?
Nothing right now.
Okay, I am going to stop here for a moment and send a text to Donna Surridge to tell her to come on to the meeting so that she can join us in the executive session. Okay, report of governing body members, Ms. Nelson.
Just a couple of low-lying, easy things. I walk the park every day, and yes, as Art just said, I see them mowing the park, and they do a great job over there. I see them every day. A couple of things that the residents have asked for when they see me over there is, again, this is hopefully real easy stuff. An extra garbage can over by the basketball courts, and also an extra dog receptacle, a pet waste receptacle at the far end of the far turn. I guess that would be considered the southwest corner of the park, I think. Don't quote me on that. So the residents have requested that, and also a lost and found.
Okay.
And that's it for this week. Easy stuff.
Thank you, Mr. Muir.
Sure. I said, and this was pre-COVID, of course, we used to have the lost and found box and then bring the items up to Municipal building, and people know at least to come to the Municipal building, and then I would occasionally try to share on the community page the items that were there. So we can try to reenact that as the building opens up.
Yeah, right now there's one picnic table over by the pavilion that's kind of being used as one, and it's all just, everything's just sort of laying out there.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So for me, same thing. I have one simple thing to discuss, but first I just want to, of course, thank our DPW. I had spoken to Carl, of course, throughout the process and afterwards. They did an amazing job. You know, Carl and a relatively new crew comes in with a very busy winter, and then now faced Ida. So they've done an excellent job with every challenge they've faced. I want to thank all of our first responders, including Art. I know he was out there, and in talking to our first responders, both in Bethlehem and in surrounding towns. I know you see a lot of things all the time, but you saw a lot of things in a very compressed period of time, which I know is very difficult. So I want to thank you for being out there and doing everything that you did for the community. And JCP&L, we're still continuing to work with them. We have a meeting with BPU coming up, but you know, they did an excellent job. I think we proved to be a little bit more resilient. I think the tree cutting proved worthy during this storm. So I'm glad to see some improvements there. The other one that's kind of simple, since we're down to one meeting a month, which is great. I think it's, you know, efficient. But Halloween this year is on a Sunday, and usually we have a resolution to, you know, say that Halloween. I know it sounds a little ridiculous that Halloween is on Halloween, but especially for a Sunday, we usually would extend the hours from 12 to 8. In the past, when it's on a weekday, we keep it 4 to 8. So I don't know if we want to, you know, make a decision and vote so that residents know in advance now what we want to do with Halloween, since it's on a Sunday as official hours, if you will.
Do you have those that date and time, Mr. Mayor?
You know, it's October 31st, which is a Sunday this year, and like I said, in the past, when it was on a Saturday or Sunday, we allowed it from 12 to 8. So some of the younger kids, if they wanted to go out a little earlier, could. Or we could leave it. Usually it's 4 to 8 when it's on a weekday. So I'm fine either way. I just think we should provide a little bit of direction so that residents know what to expect.
We could put out a notice that Halloween would be observed on Sunday, October 31st from 12 to 8.
I think that's fair.
Is that good with the committee? Okay with that?
Right, and then we could post it up on the website
All
as
those in-
confirmation.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, got it.
And that's all I have.
Okay, Mr. Randolph.
I want to just thank the community because being out in the weather, one of the biggest challenges we had that night was so many people being surprised by the water, the volume. It was an epic storm. I was grateful to see in our town, the roads were pretty light, people hunkered down, and they allowed the first responders to focus on those that the storm snuck up on. A lot of people certainly didn't mean to get caught, but there was just so much water that places that are high and dry that we never would have thought, like downhill slopes of off ramps, flooding. That's insane. It's a slope. So I just want to thank everybody here and pass the word to any of the residents. I really appreciate that people kept the roads clear and allowed us to do what we had to do. That's all I got.
Okay, thank you, Art. Report of the mayor. Well, you know, we always thank Art for what he's doing out there. And, you know, Art doesn't fit in with the regular crowd, and neither do I. And there's reasons that we both like that. But Art was riding up the top of 173 not too long ago and came to a group of people standing there, their parked cars. So it's around a motorcyclist who had gotten hit and was lying there with his leg 50 feet away from him and bleeding to death while people stood there with their mouths open. Art jumped out and saved this guy's life. And he wasn't the same, and I don't think he still is the same after living through that. They got him on a helicopter, and he's doing okay. The man actually said, I want to get together with all you people and have a beer, and I want to have a beer with the guy who hit me because it was forgive and forget. So there are people out there, and I guess this is why Art does this, and this is why I guess they're different. Thank all the people that do these things and continue to do these things. And there's so few of them. Well, I won't get into that, but it's definitely disheartening to see how little members of the community do anything for the community. I can say that because I don't have to worry about getting elected again. 9/11 came and went, and I'd like to comment on that. What I do on that day is I went to Heritage Park at noon, and it's a good time because the sports people are leaving and there's not a lot of people there, and I could be by the monument by myself because to me it's personal. I wasn't a friend of Steve Huxell, but he was a resident. I've been in his house. I've drank beer with him. He was in my house. Both my daughters went to school with his son Liam. So it was personal when he was taken from us that day. And one of my lacrosse partners out in high school, he died as well in the basement that day. And as I said before, my friend from work is dying from COPD. That I have a real personal difficulty with, and I'm not saying anything about anybody in this town, but at other levels, this is becoming a very politicized day, and it's not a holiday. It should be a day of mourning. To me, it is, and that's how I celebrate it. We all celebrate it, or we all observe it, I should say, however we think appropriate. But I have a very difficult time with these politicians that are using it to further their agendas, their goals, to lie, to read things into it that never happened. It was a day when America came under attack, and a lot of people that shouldn't have died did die. And those of us who actually cared and actually lived through it, through the loss of the people, I like to take that time to remember them and to say a little prayer and to ask God to keep a special place for them in the mansions of the Lord. So thanks for putting up with me, everybody. the snowplow cost, we've been paying $20 an hour for part-time snowplowers. Carl has asked if I would talk to the committee about taking that up to $25 an hour. I'll let you think about that between now and the next meeting, or maybe we'll talk about it afterwards. I don't know how soon we're going to need that. There's an SADC cost share request that will cost the town an extra $440 because of a miscalculation on someone's part, not ours, in the preservation funding for the Groshwitz farm on the edge of town by Glen Gardner. I always remember the old name. It's Glen Manor Drive there. That has to be discussed with the committee. The Facebook page, there is a Facebook page out there that has our official emblem on it. And I would just like to reiterate to everyone who does Facebook, I do not. I got off of it the day the count from the primary vote was over. I got off of that because I could never stand it. I don't like it. There's no control over it. There's no truth to anything that people post if they don't want there to be truth. And that is not, we do not have a Facebook page. This township does not operate a Facebook page. Anything that's on a Facebook page that claims to be a Bethlehem Township Facebook page is a lie, and it's probably slanderous. And don't believe it. We have one website page, and that's BethlehemNJ.org. That's the only place you can go to for official documentation and information. All right, I believe that's all I've got. We can discuss. Do you want to discuss the snowplow hourly wage? Anybody?
Why don't we, if we can, why don't we discuss it if it's something within our power to deal with now, so Carl's not held up, and then we get
It is.
into other things. And
You said,
I'm sorry, Will, go ahead.
I guess he just said that, as other places are offering more and more money for low wage jobs, one of which I have myself at the where I work. It's getting tougher to get people, so he felt it was time to up the hourly wage.
We know what are the averages of other towns? Do we know what they're doing this year?
No, and I personally don't, if they're paying 20, if they're paying less, we pay more, we get a better shot. You know what I'm saying? So if you'd like to know that information, have the time to investigate that, I'll be more than willing to let you do that. And we can get to it when we can. We could even do a poll vote if you want. So why don't you do that, Jody? Why don't you look around, see whatever people's got, and then give me a jingle on an email. Let me know when we can have Christine poll the committee, hopefully, within a week or so. Okay?
Okay.
Sounds like a plan. And the cost share on the SADC for the Groshwitz farms for $400, $440. That I think we are a committed committee to preservation, and $440 to preserve that giant hunk of land that could house anything beyond our imagination is a small price to pay, if you ask me. So I'd like to make a motion that we approve that expenditure. Do I have a second?
I'll
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, or Christine, roll call vote?
Okay. Mr. Keith is not with us. Muir,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Randolph,
Yes,
Baumgarten.
Yes, thank you, everybody. I appreciate that. I'd like to make a motion to open to the public. Do I have a second?
second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I don't like the look on that cat there, Lou. Make him smile next time. Yes, Styra, you have your hand up.
Yeah, there are two things I wanted to talk about. One is the idea of one meeting a month. I know that Union Township does the same, and I can see the point of it at times. But this month, talk about all the things that are going on with that you need to discuss, for example, the dumpsters and all that. It doesn't, is it possible to call a special meeting? Because I think you're going to need one. Anyway, it's not really my call, but this does seem to me like the wrong month to say, well, there isn't really much to discuss. But then what's really on my mind is the fact that this township, which is not poor and is in the 4th wealthiest county in the United States, does not have a recycling facility for its inhabitants. Before you decide never to do that and to make it someone like me need to drive 20 miles back and forth to the county disgusting site, I would like to know that all of you take a ride out there and see what it's like. It's ecologically ridiculous to drive 20 miles to dump my garbage, firstly. And secondly, it's incredibly unpalatable. The last time I was there, the crushing things that the single stream, they have 2 huge single stream things, they were full. So we had to carry our bags of recycling material over to a great big, huge, smelly dump with broken glass on the ground. This is really unspeakable. We are not living in a South American, what was that country that got the kids to go to the dump and they made something that was called the Philharmonic, Phil spelled F-I-L-L. They made musical instruments out of the dump. They played incredibly touching because they played Mozart's Eine kleine Nachtmusik out of this junk that they made instruments out of. But we don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. So I ask you, first of all, how many people are there in this town? There are how many households? $4 times 1,500 is going to pay for whatever it costs to fix that machine that we have. All kinds of towns charge a small fee, which is much less, by the way, than what you have to pay to the companies that come by your house every week to use the town facility. Why don't we do that? And
I hear you.
I have to ask the embarrassing question, what do I pay my taxes for? You said it's $800. I don't know what mine are, but I want to know what I get for them. I get a wonderful road crew. What else?
An educational system.
Oh, no, I'm not talking about that because you, as I know, as you said, my taxes have nothing, what I pay for the township has nothing to do with the school. I'm one of those people who, when people complain about their taxes, say to them, you really need to know how much of your taxes goes to the school. But for the money that I pay to you, what do I get? Seems to me the least I could get is a place to take my garbage. Okay, I've said what I want to say, but I would love to have a commitment that you yourselves actually go to that facility on Petticoat Lane and see what it's like to bring your garbage there before you tell me that that's what I can do.
Well, I've been there. Your description is maybe not even descriptive enough. It is definitely a sewer. But I'll continue to take your recycling as I did.
You're very kind. Walter really did. I put it out at my driveway, but you know, it's very sweet. It really is.
I pay $34 a month for my garbage and my recycling, and I'm happy to do it.
But that's not the proper way for a town to run. I'm sorry.
Okay. We hear you, Cyrus. Thank you. Shauna and Ed, you have your hand up.
Yes, Walter, thank you. This is the Tunnel Road activist organization here.
Yes.
And the gravel project, as far as I can tell, has been completed all along Tunnel Road. They did a great job, and the gravel itself is settling in, so we're certainly happy with that. On the other side of the speed study that took place, do we have any close approximation? And if this was addressed earlier, I missed it. A close approximation of when signs might come up for speed limits.
Well, the engineer's report said that it was forthcoming, the suggested speeds. So, Paul, you haven't talked to Tom about that, have you?
No, I was hoping Tom actually would have had them this month. So, and I do apologize. I'll follow up with Tom and see if we can get the suggested speed. And by the time we order signs, it's, I'd probably say towards the end of October, if we can come up with those speeds soon enough. But yeah, I apologize. I was hoping that when he saw that report that he would have had some speeds by this point.
So we don't know what the speed recommendations are yet either.
Not this
No,
point.
I'm going to say, I think, in preliminary discussions, I think you're going to be in the 35 to 30, the 35 mile an hour range, but it may be different because again, we did those 2 speed studies. So you have the lower end also. So I'll wait and get Tom's official statement.
Thank you, Paul. I appreciate it. Thank you,
All right.
Walter.
Yeah, you're welcome, sir. Anytime. Any other public comment? Seeing none, I'd like to make a motion to close public comment. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those favor?
All right.
Aye. I was only kidding about the cat, Lou. Geez.
Yeah.
Meow. Okay, we are going to go into executive session to discuss the court arrangements, and we are not going to make a decision. We're not going to come back. We will adjourn directly from there. So I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session to discuss a contract issue. Do I have a second?
Well, wait a second. We didn't get Benbrook on. He hasn't come on, and we were going to discuss the animal ordinance.
Oh, that's a good point.
And I wasn't sure if some of the residents wanted, well, some of them already have left, wanted to hear it, what he might have had to say about them in any property.
Thank you for reminding me.
Sure.
You know,
If he doesn't,
what I was gonna, sorry, Paul.
Okay, Art.
What I was gonna say is, that was just the first reading, so this is going to get kicked over to the planning board,
Yeah,
and it'll come back to us. So in the interim, we can read through it. There's only the introduction, so when we read through it and way before anything is actually codified.
okay.
Slice
We
and
could-
dice it and get the public.
Yeah. If you want, we could also, I think we could also table it because I think our meeting's the October 21st and the planning board's the 25th. So it's up to you either way, how the committee wants to handle it.
I mean, I was the one that posed the question as to which version it was. But if everybody else is okay with it, we can read it. We can read through it. I'm familiar with it.
Yes, and the brief on the Manini, have you had a chance to look at that yet?
I haven't read, I started reading through it. I haven't read through the whole thing yet. I
All
don't know
right,
about
we'll see if you can get
anybody
that
else.
done for the next meeting. If you have any questions, I just asked. He's logging in now. Look at that.
But, well, since a lot of people have already dropped off that this might affect, we
Yes.
should just go into the executive session is what the public is expecting us to do.
Okay, can do. But we'll bring Mr. Benbrook in with us since he does represent both courts.
Yep. So if we're going, did we vote? Yeah, we voted to go into executive session as well.
Yes.
So people have to start dropping off that are on the screen.
Mhm.
Just need a second